Hello, welcome to the Three Orcs Discord channel. This is David, and it looks like we have a little bit of an echo. Let me lower my volume. And this is the weekly stream that I use to update all the Patreon members and Discord members, or any Dungeon Masters running the Temple of Elemental Evil sandbox campaign called the Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year. Now, this is my weekly update every Sunday at 7 p.m. I like to review what I did all week in the project and let everybody know what's happened and what I plan to do the following week, because I realized not everybody has time to work with me on this project every day while I work on these articles, and I put them up for a review on the Discord channel. So that way everybody in Discord can check out each article as I write them and then see if there's any errors or anything I might have gotten wrong or something I missed or could add. And that's why I like to have everybody critique this work. And before I move on to the next article and the next one, I usually do 2 or 3 articles a day. So then I realize that everybody's on Discord with me every day while I work on it. And I get so much work done during the week that not everybody's able to keep up with everything I've done. So I thought maybe we can do a live stream, a weekly live stream to review what I did. That way I can keep everybody up to date on this project. Now, lately, so this video, I'm supposed to have a guest, a Dungeon Master guest. He's running this campaign, the Temple of Elemental Evil module in the year 579 Common Year, but he's using Dungeon Crawl Classics rule set to run the dungeon, to run the campaign. And I did a review video on how you could use DCC in this campaign. My last video I put out, and you can find that out down below. Just go into my channel, and you'll see all the reviews I've done. I've done a review on Defender Crawl, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Castle Crusades, Old School Essentials, and Dolmenwood so far. If anybody has any requests for any other rule systems for me to cover, I'll be glad to do it. I don't necessarily shoot a review of the rule set on its own. I look at it from a certain point of view of using that rule set to run this sandbox campaign, Temple of Elemental Evil campaign in the world of Greyhawk specifically. So I don't knock the rule system. I have a certain viewpoint. I have an opinion on them, but I also realize that every rule system has its own flavor, its own style, its own game type. Depending on what kind of game you're running. Are you running a one-off at a gaming store, at a convention, or just a fun dungeon crawl? Or are you running this epic campaign that's going to take 2 years to go through it, starting at first level all the way up to 20th level, with this huge grand story arc like the Temple of Elemental Evil and all the other modules that follow after it? Because you have all the Slave Lord modules, the A1, 2, 3, and 4. The G series, the Giant series, G1, 2, 3. The D series, the Drow series, 1, 2, 3. And then you have Loth, the Q series, Q1. And so if you want to run this as an epic arc campaign that's going to take a while to get through it all, you can actually run all those modules in a row. And I always thought that would be the best. That's the most grand campaign you could ever run. Traditionally, that's Gary Gygax's campaign. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's the ultimate epic campaign of Dungeons and Dragons you could ever run or ever been written. There's other campaigns, yes, for different rule systems and different campaign worlds, but we're talking about Greyhawk. And of course, there's other modules that are really good, but it's not that grand scope arc that you start off with the T1 module, go through the Temple of Elemental Evil, and go through all those other modules. And so that's why I'm focused on it. And I'm focused on running it in the default timeline. So the Greyhawk box set default timeline is 576 Common Year by Gary Gygax. Now, if you read the T1 through 4 Temple of Elemental Evil module, it does state in there that this happens in 579 Common Year. But the thing is in 576 Common Year, things are starting to ramp up. Bandits, brigands, and pirates are becoming more active in the Viscounty and the Gnarly Forest along the river, like the Velvediver River in the area. And they're becoming more prominent. to the point where merchants are afraid to even travel, and it's shutting down a lot of traffic. The economics of the country, of Vi County itself, is having problems, and they're suspecting that there's more behind these bandits than meets the eye, that maybe some of these they're more organized than they should be. And that's where the players come in to find out what's going on. There's no reason to suspect that the Temple of Elemental Evil is on a second rising again. I always repeat myself on every video, this stance of what this campaign's all about, because you never know who might join and hasn't seen my previous videos. So that's why I do that. So I'm supposed to have a guest, but he hasn't shown up. And take a look here, and maybe he's got the timeline, because I'm PST. You might have the timeline wrong. It's supposed to be 7 p.m. PST time, or maybe something happened. But I still need to review what I did all week. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I've been working on. So let's go ahead and bring this over here. I'm going to pull this open. Let's see. And this is the map of Nolb. Okay, so as a lot of you know, Nolb, the Village of Nolb, which is a campaign supplement for a dungeon master running the Temple of Elemental Evil, version 2.0, I released last May, and I did a lot of updates on it to fix a lot of things, and then I took it down because the person I was collaborating with, some of his stuff was still in the descriptions. I accidentally left some things in there, and I needed to take it out. And so we took it down completely, and I decided to start from square one, from scratch, and totally start over from the very beginning. I spent 300 hours on it since then. That's not counting all the maps I made. So I made 10 maps for the Village of Nolb, VTT maps. Now you can get these VTT maps for free on any of the outlets, like DM's Guild, on the Discord channel, the Patreon, when I post them on Facebook, and those are the normal resolution versions. But if you want to get the high res versions of those maps, like if you want to print them up or something, you have to be a member of my Patreon to get those. But those maps are in the module. And that's not the 300 hours doesn't include that. So when I get home at night, I work on maps all night. So that's more hours working on those 10 maps. They took forever. And I'm really proud of this version 3.0 of the Village of Nolb. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did so far. So this is 3.0. Let's see. And I'm going to zoom in some more. I'm going to do a full review of this tomorrow probably, but I just want to show you what I've been working on all week. So basically, this is the content. Now the table of contents is fully linkable, and I had to go through every organization, every NPC, every location, and rewrite it completely. And this time around, I decided, what would be more interesting, be more beneficial for a dungeon master running this campaign, is to focus more on the activities of the temple. The greater temple, the 4 minor temples, and also the other factions like Smigmols, bandits in the Broken Tower, the Waterside Hostel, the Boatman's Tavern, and 2 bandit gangs and a pirate ship, and also the logistics of Larith's men. Larith bringing his supplies from his raids into Nolb, and the whole logistics behind it. How is the Temple of Elemental Evil growing? They're heavily recruiting per the module. Weekly, you have a chart in the module telling you how much is coming in. Also, they need supplies. They need money. They need magic items. So they're heavily, but they don't want the Forces of Good to know this. They don't want to tip off the Forces of Good too early before they're ready. Because that's the mistake they made in the first Rising 7 years ago. They pulled a big army together and marched on the Verbobonc city, and the Forces of Good got together from all the countries in the area, all the gnomes and dwarves and the elves and the humans, and they put them down at the Battle of Emerald Meadows. Well, Uis thought, I want this to happen again, but I want to do it smart this time, because he wants to redirect attention from the north borders of Thurandi down to this area while he's doing something sneaky. You got to remember, this is before the Greyhawk Wars. So he wants to divert attention away from any future activities that he's planning to do. And so that's why he wants this to happen. So he sent the mouth of Uis, the supreme commander Hedrick of the Temple of Elemental Evil, a high priest of it, was down here to revitalize, to rebuild, to start the second rising of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And with his lies and his know-how, he got together all the big heavy hitters like Sen Shock, the 12th level wizard, and then he recruited all the lesser temples, the fragments that was left over from the Battle of Emerald Meadows, the still fragment cult sects out there. He pulled them all together, and he decided that Nulb is a hub of activity, of merchant activity, because you got merchant wagons going from the Wild Coast, from Divers to the Viscounty, running through this town constantly along the rivers and the merchant roads. And so this is a hub of activity, of a lot of economic transactions and trade. So it's really useful to help this uprising, this building up of the Temple of Elemental Evil. But he wants to make it low key. He doesn't want anybody to know what's really going on. And so this hive of scum and villainy, he wants to make sure it stays that way in the public view, that it's a local problem. And they do have a constable, and it's his job to take care of things and make sure it doesn't get out of hand. And this is on the fringe of society. It's on the border of the Viscounty in the gnarly forest. And so, that's how it is, those small little border towns. But it has been getting out of hand. There's been a lot more banditry on the roads. Viscounties, the lords are getting upset. The religious icons, the leaders, like Bishop Hoffren, they're getting concerned. And so they're all doing things. They're active. So Bishop Hoffren of St. Cuthbert, as you know, he supplanted Canoness DeVay at the Church of St. Cuthbert in the village of Hamlet with Turgeon. And so he sent Canoness DeVay to Nulb as an agent to find out what's going on. And so he went there undercover as a herbalist, and he opened up a herb shop. And then also the agents of Luna Ferrandi, Otis, Elmo's older brother, he's a high-level ranger. So he went to Nulb also posing as a smith at the smithy, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. And they're starting to suspect what's going on, but they don't have the clues yet. They don't have the evidence yet, but they're about to. Well, you don't want them to do everything. That's what players are for. That's what D&D is. Players do this stuff. So the players are the catalyst. They're the ones that are going to investigate, find the evidence, and track down all this activity and put a stop to it. Well, so basically this module covers all that. Hey, John, thank you for joining me again. Let's see, I'll click on your name. If I get my cursor going. There he is. Thank you for joining. We're supposed to have a DM guest tonight, but it looks like he's not logged in yet. I don't know what happened to him. But he's running Dungeon Crawl Classics with his Temple of Elemental Evil sandbox campaign. And he had a few words to say on the video about how he's doing that, how he handles it. All right, so that's the angle of Nulb, the village of Nulb, the project I've been working on for last almost a year. So the first time around was like a couple 100 hours. Now this last time since May has been another 300 hours. And as you can see from the table of contents, Boatman's Tavern has now 5 areas. And the reason it's like that in the module. It's a tavern, it's a market, it's a warehouse, there's a brothel, a black market. It's all in one building. It's just how it is in the module. So I decided, since so much is going on there, I decided to break it into different articles, as you can see here. So you get the main room, the tavern, the public hall, the market hall. I decided to call that a black market hall because, hey, who sells loot there except pirates and bandits? So why not call it the black market hall? I thought that was good. And also connected in the same building as this big warehouse. And so a whole different article on that. And then the tavern basement down below is where all the supplies are, and a hidden warehouse for Captain Tulub of the pirates. And then there's a small brothel upstairs too. And so I created characters for all these locations and full descriptions and a lot of dialogue and quests and plots and all sorts of stuff. All right, so as you can see, all these locations are custom made with artwork. And a lot of locations, I have 10 maps. And then here's the organizations down here. It's all linkable to take you to that channel, to that page. And this is the local area of the Viscounty. And it looks like we have somebody might be joining us, but I want someone else here. And if I scroll down more, is a map of Nulb, which you were just looking at previously. Like I said, you can get these in high resolution versions too on the Patreon. And then these are the new quests. I believe there's 32 quests here, and they're all riveting quests that have a lot to do with the activities of the Temple of Elemental Evil. There's a lot going on here in the village. And as you can see all these locations here, not every location is keyed. I left a lot of those buildings alone for the Dungeon Master to use as he sees fit. So the whole module starts off with everything you need to know up front. You know, the typical information you find in any module about a location, you know, the demographics and all that, the history and everything that's had these lines around it are flavor text. So I add a lot of flavor text and dialogue too. And there's the Dungeon Master introduction and the DM spotlight, everything you need to know about how to run this module with the Temple of Elemental Evil module. And also a whole article on politics in Nulb, all the different factions, how the players can take advantage of that. I also did a video and an article about what would happen to a paladin or a lawful good cleric when they first walk into Nulb. What would happen to them? With all these horrible, powerful, evil organizations, you'd think they get murdered right away, but no, there's reasons why they wouldn't do that. So the key thing I want to point out is when anybody, adventurers and some monsters and humanoids come to Nulb daily. It's a hive of scum and villainy. Pirates, bandits, brigands, some humanoids constantly coming and newcomers coming into Nulb. It's kind of like that old Western movie. And so you don't know who's Doc Holliday or not. You don't know who is a dead ringer. You don't know who is a very powerful character. You know, these people that are there, the pirates and bandits and brigands and the cult leaders. So first thing they want to know is who they are, where they're from, who they work for, and why are they here. So before they do anything with anybody, they want to know that information first. So if the players can use that to their advantage. The reason being is if you got a holier-than-thou paladin coming in, like a paladin Peronia sent by the bishop of in the city of Verbobonc under the Viscount's orders, you know, he's here to investigate. If he ends up murdered in Nulb, that's going to draw way too much attention. And that's what the Supreme Commander Haudrick of the Temple of Elemental Evil, that's his number one priority command to all his underlings, that they're not to do that. They do not draw any attention to Nulb. They can't. They don't want that to happen because they learned their lesson from the first time of the uprising. So that's why that's crucial information there. So this part right here is notable people of Nulb with links. So these links take you to their stat blocks, their roles and their motivations. It's a brief section of list of all the important people, because I thought get that out of the way first before you go into their full articles later on. You know what I mean? So that way you can see all these NPCs on 2 pages. And then down below is all about the lawful good in the hornet's nest. This talks exactly about what I was just saying with dialogue about how running a paladin or a cleric into Nulb and breaking the temple secrecy. So the whole article explaining what I just said with a chart. So this is all well laid out. This is a note somebody found in the village of Hamlet at the Inn of the Welcome Wents, subbed under a mattress. I thought that was pretty cool in my campaign. So the Waterside Hostel is number 1. And as you can see, everything you expect from a module is here, including charts and dialogue and flavor text and verbose descriptions and characters and artwork. Everything you need to know is here. So including who comes here, who their regulars are, villagers, the Reni, bandits, mercenaries, river pirates, smugglers. There's 5 types that come here, including dialogue from one of the innkeeper's serving wenches. Temple agents that come here, everything about them. I also created a custom a menu. So I decided I talk about this all the time. I make a lot of menus. So there's a lot of menus on my Patreon for all the locations. I created 13 villages so far around Hamlet and Nob. So Nob's fully flushed out. Hamlet's fully flushed out, fully keyed, just like the T1 module. That's what you should expect on every village in the area, all the way up to the city of Verbobonc. That way, this creates a sandbox campaign. So just like the village of Hamlet, all the villages in the area from Osford to the south, all the way up to the city of Verbobonc is fully keyed. And I also made menus like this in every tavern in all the villages. So this time, and I don't believe in menus because that didn't happen in the 15th, 16th century. You know, you don't go to a tavern and sit down and they give you a menu and you order from it. That's not true. That never happened. So, but the thing is, this is Dungeons and Dragons, and players love handouts. Dungeon Masters love handouts. And even if the Dungeon Master reads the menu to them while you're role playing, they're not going to remember it. And they love to have it in their hand and they can actually look it over and decide what they want to order. It really helps with the gamey thing. And they like really unique menus too. I mean, it gives it a vibe. And so it's pretty cool. And plus the recipes, the drinks and the food, you know, creative names for them and what they're made of makes the players giddy, and they love it. They really get off on that. And so this time around with Waterside, I decided not to do an actual vellum parchment map this time around. I thought, you know, that'd be kind of cool if you could just like draw on the wall, you know, with charcoal, white charcoal. And that's what's on the wall there. I kept drawing, you know, just wrote on the wall what's available that night to order. And there's Dala again, smiling like a knife. You can't trust her. Here's the descriptions of all the rooms. So this is the first VTT map that I created since May. Now this is the water side, and as you can see, there's a daytime and there's a nighttime. Pretty cool, huh? So that's the river, Emridge Run. There's the bridge coming into Nob. North is kind of diagonal up to the right. This is the second floor. I decided to put the second floor on the same map. That way you don't have to have two separate images on your VTT. Just move the icons and tokens over. And it's pretty detailed. And there's the nighttime view of it. Then there's Otis's smithy and stable. Everything you need to know about him and all the NPCs there. There's Mother Scrins, you know, Canoness Day. So I'm going to do a full review on this starting tomorrow. I'm going to do a full review and go through this. But here's my other VTT map I made. So this one is for the Boatman's Tavern. This is the whole main floor. Highly detailed with the docks to the north. Those are the docks along the river there. And the paths around. When I make my maps, I like to add outdoor areas around the buildings too, because the action always doesn't just happen in the building. Thieves like to sneak around, try to sneak in. Sometimes the battle spills out, or players are out front, like right here, and they're messing or challenging somebody and getting into a fight. So I like to add more surroundings to the building in case it's needed, which often it is. And there's Lodris there. And there's the Boatman's Tavern. There's Skull. And there's one of the serving wenches. She's not happy. She's not a nice girl. Here's one of the nighttime encounter random chart tables. People you can encounter there. There's the Black Market, the Boatman's Black Market, which is in the same building. And I made a whole bunch of loot tables too. And dialogue quotes. You can just roll these up, help you role play that, find out. You can help you role play that location and bring it to life. That's what it's all about. Here's the warehouse and some thugs that are guarding it. They serve Lodris. Hey, Xavier. Thank you for joining my Three Orcs live stream. It says here that, thanks, David. This is a great content to flavor the campaign of the Temple of Elemental Evil. Thank you, Xavier. I appreciate that. I spent a lot of time on this, and I'm finally glad it's done. This is almost done. I got 3 Dungeon Masters in their Discord right now reading this over to make sure I didn't miss anything before I hit the Go Live button on the DMs Guild. But the basics of all this is on the World of Anvil website. But the main reason I made this module is it's cleaned up. It's formatted really well. Great presentation. But it's printable. So you can print this module up. A lot of Dungeon Masters, they want to print the module up and have it at the table with them. This is, a lot of the older Dungeon Masters are that way. Or they like to read it in bed or something. so that's why I made this for people to print up. But it's a PDF. So, it's got clickable links and everything, so it'll help you navigate the PDF at the table. Because I like to use a laptop at the table. And this PDF is a lot easier to use than 100 website tabs open. So when I run the game, I use my World Anvil version of this, which isn't quite as streamlined and put together as this. That's like my first draft. And then I really clean it up when I turn it into this. So I usually have like 100 tabs open, and it gets confusing, because you have all these NPCs open, the maps and the location, and then the organization that the NPC belongs to, that church. And so I got to have it all ready at my fingertips so I can role play. So I can remember, what's up with that one church, what they're doing. So a lot of Dungeon Masters like this kind of thing. This is why I made this PDF. It's not to make money. I'm fine just making the website and for you guys to use online, at your table. But people kept asking me, he goes, you need to make a PDF of that, because you can't export World Anvil as a PDF. You can, but it's not very printable. Like this page right here would end up being 4 pages if you try to print this up. It's not good. I mean, if you try to print it up from World Anvil, if you try to export it as a PDF, and the formatting doesn't stay. The World Anvil formatting does not stay when you export it. It turns into this one long, blank, unformatted page. Really, like many, many pages. It's horrible. Can you imagine printing that up? You'll have like a stack of this high on your table, printing it from there. It's not good. And also, all this formatting right here is not there. It's just all printed all in a row from top to bottom. So look at this. So Captain Tolub, I thought, you know what? If the players are like investigating and they're sneaking into the pirate Captain Tolub's warehouse in the basement, he's got a secret basement down there, and they want to find out. Wait, there it is right there. They want to find out what he's taken, what he's up to. Clues, proof, right? You can see players thinking that. Okay, we're going to sneak into his... they learned from some NPC up in the tavern about Tolubin's activities, and he's got a secret warehouse down below, right? So you're going to have a thief or somebody want to sneak down there and get clues and investigate. And so I thought, you know what? When they open up these barrels and these crates, I thought to bring this to life, to make it more realistic, you can roll on this table and they can like see what's in that crate. So I thought that'd be kind of cool. And there's the map, the VTT map of the basement. And there's a brothel upstairs, and Mardun, he's the one that guards the top of the stairs. There's a prison room. There's a whole bunch of quests for all these locations, by the way. That's later. I had a whole nother section, a different section for the quest. Try to lay this out as logically as I could, because this is 165 pages. Sir Spunny is not around still. Archade. I'm still waiting for my guest up here. That sees the madam, the mistress of the brothel, the spider in silk. I thought she turned out amazing. And here's another VTT map of upstairs. So on the left is the warehouse area. In the middle is the guards and serving girls' rooms. This is Laundress's room. That's Skull's room. That's the broker's room. And this area right here in the bottom right-hand corner is the brothel area. A lot of quests going on down there, up there too. There's the broker. He deals with the pirates, the trade. He brokers deals between the pirates and the temple, like Hardrith. Commander Feldrin is the commander of logistics of the Temple of Elemental Evil. But he's got an agent in Nulb that serves under him that directly works with Lorvith, which is Madame Silentis. And they've given her greater temple brigands to help her with this transport of this loot, this merchandise, this stuff to the temple. It's all laid out very logically. There's some sample prisoner pricing charts. I figured you guys might want a good example of what a prisoner is going for. I figured I'd add that. You know, when I'm laying this out, if I have some spare space, I think of what I could put in that space, because I don't want to waste any space. You know, I usually put dialogue there or a chart or something cool, something I know the Dungeon Master could use. So here's some more brigands in the cottage here, and there's a bunch of dialogue. Look at that, more than half a page of dialogue. The brigands accosting the adventurers walking up, approaching. And they can answer questions too. And it's also a D12 chart of things they could reply on, their answers, to bring this to life for you. This is the lookout. So I decided to create some Dungeon Master notes of their reactions, a D6 reaction table, their tactics. This is all more or less 3rd edition up to 5th edition type page. The rules of DCs, challenge checks, and all that stuff. I figured, this is supposed to be a 5e edition module, and so I do add some 5e rules to it, what a 5e Dungeon Master would expect. But you can look past all that, and this information is still valuable to any Dungeon Master running any game system. Caltrops. You can DM caltrops. I don't care what rules you use, right? Okay, the Wainwright, and then we have wagon guards. Pretty cool. Introductions, dialogue. So I was talking to the I was talking to the 3 Orcs Discord channel about dialogue, because I could write a lot. Obviously I'm a writer, and so I could write pages of dialogue, like a story arc, like in a video game. You guys ever play like Elder Scrolls Online? Those story arcs where they have a lot to say. As it continue to give you more quests, and quest after quest after quest, they introduce the next quest, they talk a bunch of crap, and then they go to the next quest and they talk more stuff. Well, I could write all that if I wanted to. So I was asking the guys on 3 Orcs, you guys want that? Because so far what I've been writing is introductions and challenges, questions, just to start off the role playing, to get it going, not the whole role playing scene. Because I want to save space. I don't want to waste too much space on the page. So everybody anonymously on the 3 Orcs Discord channel said, "Nah, we don't want that much. It's overwhelming already. You already have way too much stuff. We don't want to see pages of dialogue." I said, okay, maybe I'll write a book someday. Okay, so a smuggler's outpost. So this smuggler's outpost works with Captain Tolob. Pretty cool. There's the guys right there. Those 3 live there. She's cool. The Toad Mother. She worships. Who she worships? She worships somebody. Anyway, under her character article, you'll see who she worships. She's a cleric. Fishing shack, and here's a boatwright. So I figured Noel needed a boatwright, so I decided to create one, and I thought that'd be kind of cool. And these are all, and there's a halfling there actually. He's an expert tinkerer, so he works there. This little halfling named Tibber. You can encounter any of these NPCs at the tavern. Oh, about the taverns. So the Boatman's as Tavern Warehouse Black Market on the docks, Trade Center. It's not an inn. There's a tavern. You can get drinks, eat, rumors, talk to NPCs, get quests, but it's not an inn. The only inn in Nulb is the waterside. So when the players get to Nulb for the first time, or when they ever go to Nulb, if they're going to stay in Nulb, they're staying at the waterside. Think about that. It's only one place to stay in town, unless the players think outside that. So any of these NPCs on this list could appear at either of those 2 taverns for the night to drink, or have meetings, or discourse, or look for help. I decided to create a gallows square. So this is where they hang people in this lawless town. And I put some booths here, like merchants that could, you could buy stuff from, add more flavor. And I gave them dialogue each, or something they might say when you walk up to them, little comments. And there's the signpost. I decided to create a signpost with actual messages on them. See all the stuff I wrote? Like the empty temple? It has been brought to the constable's attention that locals, including young and impressionable children, have been visiting the old empty temple outside the village. You know what we're talking about, right? Excuse me. For the good of the villagers, this must cease. There are concerns regarding the structural stability of that old building, and until such a time as the building's safety can be ascertained, the constable regrets to inform you that the Pilgrim's Trail and all points further south to the trail are to be considered off limits. Anyone encountered south of the blocked path will be considered a brigand and accosted on sight. What do you think of that? I bet you guys never thought of that before, huh? Think about it. Your players decide to go looking for this old ruins of the Temple of Elemental Evil. This is a law the constable made. So they have a legitimate right to stop those players and accost them as brigands. I think that's great. So there's a whole bunch of notices like this here. It's awesome. It really brings the village to life. I made some ruins. A lot of the ruins are not keyed. I keyed this ruin. There's a Chapel of Zilchus here from Divers, and they're supposed to be neutral as a god, the money changer god. But this guy's really seriously taking advantage. He's working with the Temple of Elemental Evil and the pirates as a bank, loans, securing deposits, holding treasure, that kind of stuff, because that's what priests of Zilchus do. And he's a shady one. And so there's a quest to undo him and get proof too in his safe. So if you can prove to the Bishop of Zilchus and Divers what this guy's really up to, he'd really appreciate that. Services offered. He'll give you a loan if you want. And that's him. Doesn't he look trusting? So there's a whole bunch of quests for this too. I also created some chapel guards as well. With it says click here to go to their stat block. The wharf, the pier, is a whole location just for the pier, the wharf there, and some dialogue and stuff and what's going on there. Trade goods and dockside factions. And you got the Valgrave farmstead. This is where they have serfs work in the fields, and the different cottages of families, like the mill and the woodcutter, sheep farm. So Nold, they grow very small farming. It's more like root based, like turnips, right? You're not going to see great crops of wheat. And any kind of cattle would mostly probably be like sheep, don't you think, in this kind of town? Yeah. And fishing. So I made a lot of fishing locations too, like fishermen. There's the old mayor's manor. So I got this idea. It's fortified. It's ruined from after the Battle of Emery Meadows when they swept through Nold and destroyed everything. This was almost ruined too. A lot of it was siege damage. A lot of the walls are broken in and the roof is caved in. So the brigands, the Greater Temple Brigands, they built fortifications like watchtowers on top of the building, and so there was always brigands up there watching town. And also the gates, the open gate. And that's where Madame Silentis is with her Greater Temple Brigands. And it's a really cool location. But see what else I did? Obviously, this is a location where you're probably going to see combat or intrigue, investigation, sneaking around maybe. You need a VTT map for that. There you go. So the first level's here. And I put the second level on this side of the map. That's her bedroom right there with all the secrets in it. And then the bandit guards in front of the building right there in front of the gate. So there's always like 3 or 4 of them there out front. And look at that. This is the introduction to them. So when the party first gets there you go. Dialogue, flavor text, and dialogue to get it going. And some insight check for those that play in 5th edition, persuasion checks, all that stuff I put in there for you. There's magically controlled sturges here, by the way. You can put some dire wolves here too if you want to. I look at this as my elaborate DM notes too. Like you don't have to use everything in this module in your campaign, but it's nice to have it in case you do need it. There's a bakery. This is where all the bread comes from, and he's blind. So it's very interesting, a location. And it's a 2-page spread because there's a lot going on here. What's interesting about this location? It's the only, besides the taverns, 2 of them, this is the only place that makes food in the whole village. And he's busy because you got to remember he's supplying bread to the the recruitment of the Temple of Elemental Evil too, and the two inns taverns. So this guy's pretty busy, and he's got a lot going on here. So there you go. Look at all that. Okay, you got the graveyard. There's a lot of buried dead after the Battle of Emerald Meadows, from mostly the bad side, the losing side. So there's a lot of secrets here, and that's a necromancer. So this necromancer is different. He's not the kind of necromancer that you're used to. He's not the one that's his secret agenda is to build this undead army and take over Nob and be power, unlimited power. No, that's not the kind of necromancer he is. He knows he can't compete with the powers of the Temple of Elemental Evil. They're too overwhelming. They're too prominent. They're too big. If he tried to do anything like that, he'd be squashed instantly or taken and used in their control. He doesn't want that to happen. So his focus, his specialty, is tapping into secrets of the dead. So all those NPCs that used to be with the Temple of Elemental Evil, he knows everything they know. That's huge. That's a lot of information. He knows about the Orb of the Golden Death. He knows about Zugmoy. He knows a lot of stuff because he talks to the dead with his spells. And he's got a friend. There she is. That's his girlfriend. And so he's got her doing stuff. She's active. As the players and the players actually question her, talk to her, I have a full dialogue here and description of how she reacts and what she says. And I also have an encounter table too of just wandering around. If you just wander around the graveyards, these encounter table. They're more of effects that bring the location to life. There's a lot of quests to do, a lot of quests that's involved with the graveyard too in my quest section. We still don't have my guest star. The stable house, obviously. A lot of secrets here because they keep track of all the brigands' horses. A lot going on there. The Nob Constable. He looks like he's cheerful and he's really got things in hand. There's no problem in Nob. Not with him in charge. So everything you want to know about him is here. There's a lot. Background and history and personality and motivation and dialogue. 2 pages of it. All his relationships in detail with every major NPC in the village. What's really going on and how they're using him. Even Smigmol has dialogue for him. Pretty cool. Look at that. All right, so the Nob stables are right next to the Waterside Inn. So when the players get to the Waterside for the first time, they're going to want to put their horses in. They're going to be about 5th level at this time. So they're going to have horses. And so the Waterside stables are right to the south, right next to the Waterside, and that's location 51. And that's the Nob stables. And there's a lot going on here because think about it. The brigands, the powerful brigand gangs, the mercenary gangs, they're staying at the Waterside. Their horses are here. Their horses are here too. These guys know more than they should. The horse, the stable master, and his stable hand, Gwenna, his daughter. So look at that. This is whole dialogue about the Crimson Reaper's horses that they're watching, they're taking care of. There's also a chart I created, the faction block chart of what's happening. Another fisherman, and a lot of stuff going on with him. Another fisherman, a lot of stuff going on with him. That's a 2-page spread. There's a huge quest involved with that fisherman. He's right on the river there. And this is the hunting cottage. So this location is in the module. It's in the T1 through 4 Temple of Elemental Evil module. And in room 335, there's a secret tunnel that heads west. And it arrives through this oval tunnel, this oval cavern. And this oval cavern is an intersection. One tunnel goes to the Broken Tower, and the other tunnel goes to this location at a water well. And there's a cottage and a barn and a water well at this location. And so the Temple of Elemental uses as a staging area to get supplies and recruits in and out of the temple. Because you do not want that happening up topside through the ruins. It'll draw too much attention. So this guy's in charge with his bandits. He's got like a dozen greater temple brigands serving him. And here's a VTT map of the location. So this cave right here is entrance to a series of caverns hosted by a tribe of bugbears and some goblins and a carrion crawler. And this well right here is the secret tunnel. And these caves are connected to that secret tunnel right around here, this location. So it's all connected. So the players could bypass the bugbears and sneak down the water well, but there's a whole bunch of giant rats at the bottom of that. Here's the there's the cabin. And I added a lot of, outdoor area around the locations in case the players are sneaking around or fighting, running combat, whatever, with a stream for tactical combat. There's also a lot of snares to make noise for anybody trying to sneak up on the cottage. So, it makes rangers and druids in the campaign more useful when you got things like that in the campaign. It makes them feel very useful and powerful. And so there's a whole article and everything you know about this location. Then the next page you're going to love. Nobody's ever done this before. So this is the actual map of the secret tunnel that leads from room 335, 600 feet north, Oval Cavern. To the east is 540 feet to the Broken Tower. From the Oval Cavern north, 200 feet, then another 100 feet is the water well, the cabin, and these are the bugbear caverns. Pretty cool. My Dungeon Masters on my Discord channel are pretty ecstatic about it. So there's a whole section about the Iron Claw bugbear tunnel guards there. They're the Iron Claw tribe. Description of the tunnel entrance and all the different rooms there. Defensive tactics and counter suggestions for you, what they can do. I also have a roster, and I named all the bugbears for you. So players can interact with them. It'd be easier for you to run when you know their names at least. Okay, so this is a section about all the organizations in Nob. It basically lists all of them. So the Crimson Reapers, the Broken Blades, the River Pirates of Nob, the Pirates of the Crimson Trader, Captain. That's the slaver. That's the slaver Captain Pirate from the Wild Coast, who is really a member of the Scarlet Brotherhood. You'll never guess who else is a member of the Scarlet Brotherhood. I just came up with this 2 days ago, and nobody in my Discord knows about it. It's a secret. The Crimson Trader again. The Crimson Trader is the name of his ship, and that's his crew. Very powerful, heavy hitters. Madame Salentis in the Greater Temple Cell. She works with the broker and the Boatman's Tavern. A lot of dialogue, a lot of description, a lot of command structure, DM notes, daily operations, strongholds, the night rhythm. That day they got paperwork, they got bribes, they listen. Couriers to divers, Verbobonc markets, guards in workmen's clothes. And at dusk, spotters take post at the bridge, the waterside, boatman's pier, and stables. The lost mule lantern is a warning signal. At night, river offloads with Tolub or Vesric. Sellers under the boatman's. Broker sorts. The broker sorts out the deals. Salentis runners cart, select crates or prisoners that are south track to the hunting cottage. At pre-dawn, the streets are washed clean. Bodies are gone. The books are balanced, and the Nob wakes up as normal. So this is all shorthand verse of the activities of the rhythm of day and night in Nob with these factions. So this is House Vakori, the Ren Toli family. So there's two kinds of Rene in Greyhawk. There's the water-based ones, which is the most common ones. You find them in all the rivers. And they do come to Nob and stay at the boatman's. Well, they don't stay at the boatman's, but they visit the boatman's and do deals. They stay on their boats. And there's another kind of Rene that are land-based, and they travel around like gypsies and big colorful caravans. Well, there happens to be a family of them staying just south of Nob. And they come into Nob to trade and make money and stuff like that. So one of the leader's daughters was taken by the broker into the brothel. That's another quest. You'll see that in a minute. So that's the leader. She's the wise woman of the tribe. That's the leader, the Eric. He's the caravan leader and fire dancer. She's the fortune teller and diplomat. A lot of dialogue, a lot of descriptions. And then we got the kids. The kids are basically just kids of all those small shacks, the families, the woodcutter, the mill, the fishermen. And these kids hang out, get into trouble, just like in all the movies. They hate the brigands and they hate the pirates. They're spying on them all the time, and they can be very helpful to the players. Quest, big section. So it goes on and on and on and on. I'll show you some cool stuff. Mother Scren's shop is cool. I actually got some artwork for that. And so there's Serena. She's the wren that's captured at the brothel. There's a reward for her. It's a big quest. And if you can help the wren, that'd be huge for the party. Think about it. A wren faction, Renee faction, land-based faction, out in the forest outside of Nope, they could stay with them. They could count on them for help. They could be their spies. They could be their information runners, their scouts. If you become friends with them and help them, they'd be very useful. Especially that fortune teller. She's got powers. She has, in this quest, there's a fortune she reads, and that's the card she pulls up. So that's the artwork I created for that. It's cool to put on the table for the players. So quest, keep going forever. Yeah, there's a graveyard quest, a whole bunch of them, 5 of them. Yeah, one of the cleric of the Crimson Reapers, he's a cleric of Orcus, Necro, and he's doing crazy things over at the graveyard. And the gravekeeper is kind of upset by it, but you can't really stop him. So he wants help trying to figure out what's happening in the middle of the night. Dernick's Stable House, Slaver Captain, quest for him. I created that artwork last week. Nobody has a tattoo of the Scarlet Brotherhood. There you go. It's pretty cool. It came out really well. That's a tattoo, all right. It looks like a fresh one. Thorn's Cottage, Secret Letter, the Mill, the Ranch, a Convoy of Ghosts, a Hunting Cottage. There's a goblin spying on them. The Hunting Cottage, quick clue tables. So these are clues the players can find at the Hunting Cottage. And conversational lines that Gfred would use, depending what the players talk about. So the players, they could side with a faction. Like, let's say they side with Silentis of the Greater Temple, or Zilchis, the Chapel of Zilchis. So all these transactions go through the Chapel of Zilchis, that high priest there. So they could audit. So they could actually work for them and pretend to audit a transaction at the Boatman's Tavern in the warehouse, or pretend to come here to audit the prisoners. And so they could come here in guise of working. Well, they could actually side with that faction temporarily and try to pit the two against each other and cause disruption in the supply chain, the logistics of the Temple of Elemental Evil. There's a lot of things the players can do in this campaign, and I made sure I covered all that. You have to read all this to really understand what I'm talking about. So the Waterside Hostel, a whole bunch of dialogue, a whole bunch of quests to do, and things you can get done. The Will of the Earth is a really good quest to do with Dick Rents. It's like 4 pages of it. And the Earth Temple was a good quest too. A lot of dialogue. It goes on forever. Plot hooks. Featured quest I wrote up here. It's an investigation heist. You have to be 3rd to 5th level at least. Boatman's Tavern again. And Boatman's Basement. So this is somebody you can rescue. There's a quest to rescue somebody in the basement of the Boatman's Tavern. And it's pretty cool. You can rescue them and get more success in your campaign for the players if you rescue this person. It's basically a merchant that was taken off a caravan along the long road in the Viscounty of Verbobonc, or the merchant road going up to Divers. It's up to you. Here's the NPC stat blocks. So I decided to add characters by location page to help you guys kind of see it all in one view of all the NPCs here and what location they're at. So that's very useful. And then I get right into it. So not only do I put stat blocks, but I add stuff. So like I said before, whenever I see a blank area that I can't fill in, I add. I add either artwork or dialogue or chart or lore. So this is a new druid I made, actually. She's a druid of the gnarly. I forgot where I put her. She's only a 2nd level druid, but she's somewhere. So much I can't remember everything. So stat block, keep going, and you'll see what I mean, how I added stuff. So there she is. That's Dara, the Toad Mother. That's who she worships. The demigod of amphibians, Wastri. Meet the Toad Mother. See? Flavor text and dialogue when you meet her. So I decided that she should deserve her own page. A lot of artwork. Pretty cool. There's Captain Ren Halveth of the Broken Blades. The whole background on him. The guards, the fisherman, Dick, the constable. So I add a lot more. There's a lot more going on with the constable, so I had to add more here. There's a lot of dialogue of meeting him for the first time and how to deal with him. I added more stuff. The Scarlet Brotherhood right here. Mistress. So this gives away what I was saying earlier. Try to figure out who the other agent of the Scarlet Brotherhood is. Yeah, it's Mistress Elvana Thorne. And this goes in a lot more detail about that. So stat blocks are not to be ignored. There's a lot more information about those characters in the stat blocking pages. So as you can see here, there's a lot. Like Felix, whole half a page on who he is and what he's about. See, even that guy right there, he's got... I didn't put a block around this dialogue because it would have overran the page. I have to watch out formatting doesn't overrun the page and just knocks it off the page. I have to be very careful about that. Anyway, there's a lot here. I can't believe how big this thing is. It keeps going forever and ever. I decided to create a warden down in the basement of the boatmans. So he's in charge of the prisoners in the basement. Because he handles the transactions. He watches them. He makes sure they don't escape. He feeds them. He tortures them. He gets information from them, find out who's worth doing what with. Either send to the brothel or send it to the temple as undead fodder, or as a slave, or as sacrifice into one of the nodes, or recruit. The possibility of recruiting into the ranks, or ransom. If a particular prisoner is worth more as a ransom, they can ransom that character for a lot of money. So he determines all that, and he makes sure that all transactions are done under his purview, and he makes sure it works out well, monitors everything. You'll find him upstairs once in a while drinking in the tavern. He's a were-rat. Okay, he's a were-rat. I'm sure I don't have to go into detail about that, but it does in the article. So I can keep scrolling until I get carpet tunnel. It's crazy. Anyway, hey, Rock the Hobbit, thank you for joining my live stream. Thank you. I'm supposed to have a guest on tonight, Arcade, but looks like he's MIA. He didn't show up, and I've been on here an hour now. Maybe he thinks my live stream starts now. Some people think that it's an hour later. I don't know, it's PST time as far as I know. I keep scrolling. I'm looking for more artwork and maps. Hey, River Pirates. Let's see. There's a lot of NPCs in Node. There's the Iron Dagger. That's Captain Tolub's ship. So about ships, now these are river boats. So they got to be flat-bottomed. They're got to be more like a barge, so they can haul cargo. They have one sail. So that's pretty close for a river ship. Because if you try to create like a regular ship, it usually ends up being like an ocean ship. And an ocean ships do not travel up and down this river. You can't. You have to have a flat-bottomed river craft. There's Knight Commander of House Criveltis. Let's see. There's Watt. Okay, so I have a random encounter table for the water side at nighttime, 1 through 100. Pretty cool. And then another nighttime encounter for the Boatman's Tavern, 1 through 100. Pretty cool. I decided to create a magic item for you. Well, not a magic item, but an item. So this is a narcotic that they harvest. The lizardmen and the Fens of Tor harvest this, and they trade it for weapons to the pirates. So the players can actually pursue this investigation too. And on my website, that village is fully keyed. Oh, I haven't made the map yet. I need to do that. It's almost done. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? The top side is done. The top side Lizardmen map is done. I just haven't done the underground, because most of the village is underground, right? That's how Lizardmen live. But anyway, there's an agent of Viscounty there posing as a merchant, and she's trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. And basically what's happening is the pirate captains are trading with the Lizardmen, and they're getting these mushrooms from them to use for their prisoners. So that's another line of investigation to pursue. So this is the Village of Nolb nighttime encounter table out in the streets, 1 through 100. And then, yay, that's me. And we're done. That makes me so happy. All right. You guys have any questions about this? About what I've been working on here? It's not available in DM's Guild quite yet. It's on there right now. I just haven't hit the go live button yet, because I'm waiting for 3 of these guys to get back with me with more edits in case I missed something. One guy came back with one edit that I missed, which is a capital letter, but I'm holding off on that. I'm not going to make a whole new edit just for one capital letter. I want to get a whole bunch of errors together, then do them all at once. But I went through this quite a bit the last couple of days, a lot. I poured over this word by word, line by line, period by period, punctuations, everything. I made sure I got this done right. So this has got a lot going on, just to let you guys know. And we're supposed to cover this on this stream with a guy a dungeon master that runs this campaign with Defend Dungeon Crawl Classics. And I did a review on this already last week, and some of the fanboys had a problem with my review, and I don't think they understood that it wasn't really a review. It was a review of this game system, running it with the open sandbox campaign in the world of Greyhawk, running the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign. And from that viewpoint, right? Because I know it's a great game, it's fun, but a certain style of game. But I really don't think it's suitable for that kind of campaign. But he's doing it. So that's why I wanted to come on. I want him to explain how he's doing it. Prove me wrong. So, that's reasonable, right? So this is the latest map. And all these locations on the river are all fishermen. They're all fishermen. These are all clickable links on the website for all those locations I went over. But you have to be on the internet to use this. So that's another reason why I made the module. It's a PDF. You can either put it on your computer, you can print it up, and you don't need internet connection while running the game. So that's another use case of the module. Down below here on the south is the graveyard. And this road right here goes to the Temple of Elemental Evil. And in this forest edge right here is where that Wren wagon family is staying temporarily. I should put an icon here to show that's where they're at. 55 location is where that cottage and barn is off the map. This road is the forest road, the high road that goes to Twilight Falls. Just in case you're wondering. And this road up here, damn it, this trail right here that goes to the swamp, it really doesn't go anywhere. You guys can make whatever you want with it. You can have it lead to the Lizardman village, except the problem is it's on the wrong side of the river. See? So the image runs north, that direction. And the Lizardman village are on this side of the river. So I'll show you. I will show you. I showed you. See? I showed you very well. So that's the lizardman village, Zalsator. And that's an abandoned fort that the pirates are kind of using as a staging, launching, raiding location. It's ruined, but it's still serviceable to use to hold up ships there to raid up and down the river. So that's another adventure that the players can engage in to take out that base. And it's basically a water temple base. You know how Lareth has the greater temple base at the Moat House? Well, this is a water temple base at that ruined fort. And the fire temple base is right here in the top of the Edders, which is 5 miles north of Hamlet. And they're doing something cool there. And then the other base is over here. It's the air base, air temple base. I'll show you the other map. And this big map here. And right here is an old monastery, just south of Hamlet, right there. And there's an old monastery there, that the Earth Temple base. And that's where they launched the raid for the Gift of Beauty. The Gift of Beauty went by to the south to Selene, and they tracked them they almost got to the border of Selene right here. And they raided and killed almost everybody, took people prisoner, left a few survivors. And then they skirted to the west along the mountain range and came to the ruined monastery here. So that's where the Gift of Beauty is in my campaign, but you can have the Gift of Beauty go anywhere you want. That's how I did it. You can have the Gift of Beauty at the Temple of Elemental Evil if you want. You know, that's where it's at. That's where they're finally going to find it on level 3. It's up to you. I put it in the Earth Temple base because they're the ones that did the raid with the gnolls, with the help of the gnolls. And this is the gnoll fort down here. This is the DM view, Dungeon Master view. That's the Jagged Fang Gnoll Fort. And that's a giant old mine, an abandoned mine where the hill giants are at. And that's the shattered monastery, ruined monastery that the Earth Temples hold up as a base. That's the Air Temple's tower. But they ride giant vultures. And the Edders is a watchtower on top of the Edders. It's abandoned, and they've taken it over. And they're doing a ritual right now to bring balance back to nature. I'm sure you guys heard that before. I don't know what that place is. Never heard of it. And then this right here is the hunting cabin, just south of Nob. And that road right here, like I said before, goes up to Twilight Falls. Twilight Falls is done with a map, fully keyed. And all the way up past Sobbenwich is not done. This is the lands of divers right here in the yellow orangey area. This is divers. On this side of the orange line is the Viscounty of Verbobonc. And these are the clans. Hey, Nolba's done. So I need to do the two of the clans are done. There's 4 clans. So Halagant, he wrote up these other 2 clans already. So I need to get them on here. So I think I'll do that next. But I really want to get those dungeons done. Like, I think I want to get the monastery done next. Or I might do Edders. This tower. I might do them next. I don't know. You guys need to tell me what you think is more important. Should I do the fire temple on top of the Edders? Or should I do the monastery where the earth temple is? A dungeon. BTT map? I know you guys love that stuff. I think the Earth Temple, well, they're both important. The Earth Temple's got the Gift of Beauty, and that's definitely a quest line in my campaign. It's a very important quest line. It's pivotal. It's hugely connected to the politics of this entire game. And the Fire Temple is very engageable. It's right there. Players don't have to go far, and everybody knows about it. They're pretending to be druids, and they invited all the other druids to come to their ritual on a certain date. So if there's any druids or rangers in the player group, you know, they're going to know about the invitation. In fact, their great druid that they serve will probably tell them about it. They probably sent them there. You know, that's their mission. I need you to go represent us. Find out what this ritual is all about. Go there. You represent us. So get to the bottom of it. That's the basics of all backgrounds of most characters. I usually have their ruler, their master, their teacher, send them on this vague quest to start the campaign off with. So if I have a druid in the group, I'd actually start him off with, there's a message sent out from this new druid sect that they're conducting a new ritual to bring balance back to nature on top of the Edders in that watchtower on a certain date. So the great druid that this druid serves under, this new first level druid, he's going to tell him, okay, I need you to go there and find out what they're doing. And then report back. Write down everything you see. And so that's their starter quest. Some of the starter quests is like the Gift of Beauty, Noble Ambitions. I'll give that to certain players, like clerics and paladins, or a wizard. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I try to keep players away from Noble as long as possible. That's the goal. You don't want them there until at least 5th level. Hey, who we got here? We got people talking. Rock the Hobbit. Hey, who wrote the Gift of Beauty module? He's going to be a guest in 2 weeks on my Discord, on my live stream. He's going to be a guest. His name, let me pull it open. I'm really bad with names. I don't know why. Let's see. Oh, man. Vintage Gaming. I like Vintage Gaming. Okay, here we go. I live in Greyhawk. Ba 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 ba. The Gift of Beauty. Where are you? Can you guys see it? Oh, down here. There it is. Doopy doop. Open Sesame. I clicked it. Do it again. Gift of Beauty, where'd you go? I swear. Okay, do it again. Sorry. Michael J. Breslin Sr. Yeah, he's not the one that's going to be my guest in 2 weeks. I can't get hold of him. So that's a problem. I need to get hold of him. If you guys know how to get hold of Michael Breslin, that'd be awesome. Because I would like to rewrite it for this campaign. You got to remember, the Living Greyhawk modules are written for the Living Greyhawk campaign, which is after the Greyhawk Wars, which is the year 594 Common Year to whatever, 599 Common Year. So they need to be rewritten for this campaign, for what the event that's happening now in this campaign, to help bring this campaign to life. That's why I use them. And I think it's a wonderful tool. This module, this adventure is awesome. It's perfect fit for this campaign. It's great. And I really want, and I already created all the locations and NPCs are already in the campaign world. So if you have this module, you can easily run it. All the locations, all the NPCs, dialogue, it's already in the campaign world. So when you run this module, you can relate to those articles easily. Just run it. But the actual module, what's happening, and also the background of what the Gift of Beauty is, that's part of Living Greyhawk lore, which is also added in my campaign world. I have a Gift of Beauty article in On World Anvil, which explains what the Gift of Beauty is, because that is part of the Living Greyhawk lore from the main journal. But the actual details of the specific encounters, I rewrote them to fit my campaign world, this location. So I definitely want to get, like, Delavu Woods is already made, and Lord Delavu, you know, these NPCs are there. But you can run this. If you have this module, you can run it. I didn't, in my campaign, I did not do that. I did the ambush site is the last one I did. That's the last encounter I used, the actual ambush site. Players go there, investigate the ambush, right? Get clues, find out who did it, which way did they go with the prisoners, if there is any. Yeah, that's all standard D&D stuff. But I didn't like the horse ranch, so I left that out. And I didn't like the Box Canyon, left that out. And I didn't like the Raiders Valley Hold. I didn't like any of this stuff afterwards. Basically, I had them take the Gift of Beauty to the Earth Temple outpost at the abandoned monastery. I thought that was more interesting. It's a dungeon. Anything that ends with a dungeon is much better. Everybody knows that. With a cool map. Just like the Mo House. Isn't D&D a lot more interesting when that happens? There's certain things about D&D that's always better. Like when you start a campaign off. Small village, small dungeon. Really close by. That you can't beat that combination. It's always the best modules that do that. Always. Any other module that tries to do something else is boring. It's just not fun at all. The players don't get engaged. They disconnect. Anyway, yeah. I want to do it. So I already got permission for the Noble's Ambitions, and half of it's done already. I'm right here. This is where I left off in Noble Ambitions, right here at Osbury Domain, Osbury Manor. So I still have to key this dungeon right here, the Ancient Soul Ruins. It's already done. I put it on my private site. I just need to port it over to the public site so you guys can use it. And then maybe I'll package it all up as a module and sell it in DM's Guild. I don't know. I did get permission for that, by the way. I had him as a guest on my channel to do that. So I'd like to do that. The problem is I'm the only one running that adventure in this campaign. Because I start my players off at the city of Verbobonc. I love that module. It's one of the best modules I've ever written. It's wonderful. It really connects all the dots and makes this campaign come to life with all the politics, what's happening between the nobles and the gnomes, and what's going on, the atmosphere of the Viscounty. It really pulls it all together with the nobles. Nobles are important. And so after they finish clearing out the ancient ruins, their second level, then he can send them to the Moat House or to Hamlet, do some stuff there, then the Moat House. See? But I'm the only one doing that. I don't know anybody else is. Oh, I think one other Dungeon Master is. I forgot who he was, but he is doing it. I haven't seen him around. Okay. So, hey, Vapor Missiles. Thank you for coming to my live stream here. There we go. Popped you up. Thank you. You're a little bit late. I've only been on for an hour and 20 minutes. I just went through the module of the Village of Nolb. I'm about to put that live tomorrow morning after I get my feedback from you guys. So if you have any other questions about this campaign, this project that you guys been thinking about. I wish my guest came. I was really looking forward to talking to him. Oh, well. Oh, I added something. During the week, I did do something else. I added Crystal Falls. So in one of the Living Greyhawk modules, that is Crystal Falls is named location of a water temple outpost, but it didn't place it anywhere. Not really. Well, I think it said, no, actually it did. It said like, I don't know, I forgot, 80 miles southwest of Hamlet. And that's roughly where that is. In fact, the Anna Myers map, which I modeled this map off of, has this lake here. It's almost exact, the location from the description. But it's not mapped anywhere. It's not on Anna Myers maps either. So between me and Halagant, we decided to put it here. It's not keyed, but at least I put the location here in case anybody's running that module. There's Rock Hall. If you have any dwarves in your group, they're probably from Rock Hall or Iron Delve. Probably Rock Hall, though. The dwarf in the Noble Ambitions in the dungeon, he's prisoner, is the clansman son of the leader of Rock Hall. He's prisoner there. He's the prisoner, so you guys rescue him. So he's important, but it's only if you're running that module. So the thing is, there's a whole series of dwarf modules for the Living Greyhawk series for Rock Hall, and he's the main character. So that if you decide to continue pursuing that line of adventures, they're looking for the lost kingdom of the dwarves taken over by the Mind Flayers. It's a huge quest series. And it's all in the Lort Mill Mountains. And he's on the quest to look for, they don't know where it is anymore. They lost track of where that lost city is, taken over by the Mind Flayers. And for years, he's been searching. And he got captured by the Temple of Elemental Evil, or the orcs. And he's a prisoner here at the Ancient Soul Ruins. Players rescue him. And that kind of starts off that quest line. If the players decide to pursue it, they'll most likely want to pursue it. There's a dwarf in the group, but you know how that is. So you guys got any more questions while I'm on here talking for an hour and a half? Okay, well, so anyway, I just want to let you guys know that this module I'm really proud of is done. It turned out so much better than before. Version 3.0 is amazing. It's the best work I've ever done. This is the de facto, the definitive source of Nulb you'll ever find anywhere it's ever been done, that ever been written, in any forum, any website. There's nothing more than this. This is everything you always wanted in Nulb. And like I said before, yeah, it's a lot more than you probably use. Locations, NPCs, quest, but it's better to give you more than less in case you need it. Or you can pick and choose. Depends what your players do, right? If they're interested in doing something specific with a fisherman or something, or some kind of activity with like those mushrooms, at least it's keyed here with dialogue and descriptions and artwork. So you might not need it in your campaign, but you might use it. That's why I want to make sure I covered all the bases. I want to make sure you guys got your value worth. I try to think in your shoes because I'm the dungeon master running my campaign too. I'm running this too. I got 3 groups, or I did, and I know what I need, and I'm trying to think what you guys would need. I know you guys won't need everything, but at least I try to cover all the bases in case you did need it. All right, any more questions? Nothing here. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining my live stream. This is September 21st, 2025. Wow. So I covered everything I did all week, which includes the new version of the Village of Nulb, which I'm really excited to get out there. And also other things I did during the week. I didn't have my guest show up because I guess he's MIA. Something must have happened. Hopefully he'll be able to show up next week. Coming up this week, I plan to make another video. I plan to make a review video, kind of like what I just did here for the Nulb Village, because I want to put that video on that Dungeon Masters Guild ad. When you go to Dungeon Masters Guild to buy it, you can put a YouTube video on in that article, so people can watch the video to decide whether or not they want to buy it or not. So I need to make that video. It's pretty much going to be close to what I just did, but I'm glad I did do it right now with you guys because it helped me practice going over it. So that way, when I do record this tomorrow, I'll be a little bit better at it, more succinct. And going forward, I need more feedback on the Discord channel. That's what my Discord channel is for. I work on these articles every day, daily, 7 days a week. And I collaborate with you guys on there. And every time I write an article, I put link it on there for your critique and feedback. We collaborate. We talk about these. I asked you guys for suggestions. And one of the things I need to know is what I should work on next. I know I need to get Halagant's 2 more elf clans up on the website because he wrote them already. There's a couple other villages that need to be done. And so there's also 4 dungeons I think that needs to be done. And also, I want to move more into the Wild Coast for any dungeon masters running their campaign from the Wild Coast into this campaign, because I want to spread it out. So that's where it's a serious open sandbox campaign where your players can be from anywhere and go anywhere and still participate in the same campaign with all dots connected to the Temple of Elemental Evil activities and the Second Rising. All right. Well, I hope you guys liked my video. I appreciate you guys showing up for my Discord, my YouTube channel and my review. And I'm glad you've been patient with me. It's been an hour and a half. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week. I hope your players enjoy your campaign as much as mine have. Thank you guys. You guys have a good night. There we go.